So Apple's interesting, and most of the reasons are commercial, not technological. At the moment, we are able to put, or we will very shortly be able to put Flash applications onto those devices using the iPhone packager, which we have for Flash Professional as part of the next release of the Creative Suite. And you may have seen some of the examples we've had around that. But basically, that will allow you to take any Flash application and wrap it as an IPA so that it will work, so that you can submit it then to the Apple Store, go through the process, and it will then work on the touches or the iPhones or the iPad or whatever.
So, I mean, so what's Steve Jobs up to here? I mean, his idea seems to be that HTML5 could be the new standard. We know that Google is pushing that very heavily. It's likely at some point that YouTube will switch over entirely to HTML5, I guess. That seems to pose quite a challenge to the Flash empire. Do you feel threatened at all?
No, we don't, to be honest. There's two things about HTML5 and Flash, and you know, a lot of the stuff that's being said about the two of them in the press at the moment. And the first thing is that HTML5 is not here. So you're talking about something that will happen in the future when that gets established. So that's like the first thing to say. But just video delivery may well be something that HTML5 can do very, very well. That's great. I would argue, we would argue as a company, that just delivering video really is missing a lot of the point. It's the context of it. It's the integration with real-time advertising, real-time analytics, real-time information and content. So that the Flash player does a lot more than just render video. So from that point of view, you know, we think HTML5 is great and our tools will fully support it. But you know, we still feel that there is a need for the Flash player to do what the Flash player does really well.
Excuse me, Jeff, could you just explain for the folks at home HTML5? It's a kind of a new lingo, and also what you guys are doing there.
Sure. So HTML5 is a new open standard, part of the HTML specification, that includes a lot of different things in it, but one of the things is a new support for video to be embedded directly in a page and then render in a browser without any plugins there. And that holds a lot of promise and is because it's an open internet standard and will allow developers who don't understand Flash or don't have Flash skills to take advantage of video and have that play back. But it is early days, to Stephen's point. The specifications are still not completely finalized, and particularly the technology or the codecs for actually delivering video has not been settled as part of the standard. There are many options. There's an open source version called Vorbis or Fiora. There's H.264. There's an expectation of a new proposal from Google for what the video is, and it's a very fragmented environment on the technology side. The other thing to reiterate, some of the things that Steve just mentioned earlier, was that HTML5 today is really focused around about video playback, just making sure that a video can be downloaded and play in the browser, which is an achievement in and of itself. But the context around the video is not yet part of the standard and is not yet well defined. For things, by context I mean the analytics for how the interaction with the video is going on. Advertising, being able to insert pre-roll overlays, post-rolls, different types of advertising formats. Those are things that are not yet defined in standards, and there's not yet technology stacks for supporting those. And that has significant implications for the organizations here at the table because of the options. It's not like there's a direct substitute for Flash 100% of the time. Having said that, we still are hearing demands from our customers for support for HTML5, specifically around the Apple devices and their expectations of the iPad in particular, which is coming up next month, that they want to be able to provide experiences on there. And we're in the process of educating customers about what their options are from a Brightcove perspective, and then also we're looking at how do we invest as a solution provider to help make the HTML5 experience as good as it can be, given the inherent limitations and the fact that it's early days on the standard. But I think that it is a fair statement to say that HTML5 in its current state is not a substitute for what Flash offers on a parity basis. It will get there over time. So very interesting times on the client front. Does that help, Andy?
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll see a HTML5 version of the Brightcove player at some point?
You could, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we're investigating right now is how do we implement our player environment in an HTML5 world. There's again, limitations in what we can do because of the nature of the technology, but there are things that we can do, and we're exploring that.
Can you sort of enlighten us as to what your clients and yourselves have learned as to what kind of video works, the old long form versus short form argument?
Sure. So, well, it's a big question. We should probably break that up into a lot of different pieces and take it across the. We've learned a lot over 4 years, but a couple different things that we've learned is that the video needs to be, the content of the video itself needs to be tuned towards the audience objectives that you have. And so if you have skills and your audience wants to see long-form content, then go ahead and produce long-form content. Most organizations are not equipped to produce high-quality long-form content that's going to be watched. I mean, it's a very rare skill. You need storytelling skills. You need documentary, development skills and so forth. What most organizations have been much more successful with is short-form content that brings other types of content that they have, either news stories or other pieces or events, to life in a very digestible, snackable form. And that tends to be a much lower bar in terms of production skill and effort to get the video produced. And also it is a little easier to execute in an online environment because you can put short form video a lot of different places. You don't have to worry about all the complexities of long form. So we support both different approaches, but we've seen a lot more interest in things like short form. The other thing that we've learned is that you shouldn't think about video as an isolated thing. It is part of your website. It's one of different content types that you have on your site. And so we often get a lot of questions from customers about their video monetization strategy. And we're happy to talk about all the things you can do in the video player to monetize. But the most effective monetization strategies that we're seeing from customers are where video is kind of the hub of monetization, but there's a lot of other things going on a page. And you have pre-roll ads that are then succeeded by companion banners with leaderboards and those kind of integrated ad units that take into the whole page context into account are much more effective. So that's a really important thing. And then also to not think about your video analytics just by video views and video engagement, again, in isolation. It's important for customers to look at their video views in context of their overall views, and how does video interact with the other things people are doing on your site. Does having video on pages increase the time on site and time on page, and how does that impact? So those are some things that we've learned that are not obvious to customers when they first started doing video. They tend to kind of laser in on the video itself, which again is somewhat useful. That whole page is something to think about.
Okay, on monetization, I mean, it strikes me that online video is in a way playing catch up to other parts of online media, but perhaps in a good way, because there is this room for growth, and we're seeing the views grow very quickly. Maybe in the same way that page views used to do, but maybe have plateaued recently. And yet, as all this grows, it seems like people are getting very excited about the online video advertising opportunity. I was at a conference last week, the FT's media conference, at which the chief exec of Channel 5, got very excited and said that ad-funded models are really beginning to gain traction in online video. It seems to me that this is happening at the same time that people in news publishing online, non-video, are running away from advertising and really want to start finding some paid income. So how can that work for video online? Paid video, does it work? I think some of the research points to probably not, certainly not web streaming, but perhaps video downloads can be paid for.
Well, I think all of the models are valid. It really comes down to the content that you have. If you have compelling content that can bear having a paywall or a pay-per-view type of scenario, then the technology exists to make that happen, and you can make it work. But you're not going to get people to pay to watch, little news bit clips and things like that. So you really need to have it be connected to your content strategy. Everything's possible. But it'd be interesting to hear from some of the news organizations, in the room, on what they're seeing and how they're thinking about these monetization options.